one of the things that nobody ever wants to be called out on is what's most connected to their core being, who they believe to be true, right? If you shake up that belief system of theirs, they get pretty angry, right? You can point out a lot of things to humans, but if you point out something to them that's connected to their identity, then they seem to get pretty mad. And in the world of investing, once people have a belief, and I want to just point this out, people have a belief before they have research or information to support that belief. So what happens with most humans is they have a belief and then they go out and they look for the research to support their belief. This is why you can have people that are part of investment newsletters, pick of the month newsletters, and most of the picks don't do well or go anywhere or actually hurt the person's portfolio. But if the editor of that pick of the month never changes their point of view and always like, yeah, the world is dangerous, big box advisors are horrible, but stick with us because the government's horrible, right? Then people will not unsubscribe from that pick of the month because it's aligning with what they already believe. So I want to talk about cryptocurrencies. And the reason I have that intro is because what I've noticed is people are very passionate about cryptocurrencies. And that's totally fine to be passionate. I mean, of course you want to be passionate about something. I mean, why not? The question is cryptocurrencies a fad or is it a trend? So the difference between a fad and a trend is really the length of time it stays around. A fad is something that's very short-lived, and a trend is something that has a very long lifespan. And so the question is this a fad or is this a trend? So what I want to do is I came up with 6 things that I've noticed about cryptocurrencies, and I want to share them with you. Now, just notice that you're already wanting to take sides, right? So some of you that are already listening to this are already getting ramped up to say disrespectful things on the comments. Last week's blog, I've never had so many people call me a retard. It's not a word that I use or my kids use or anyone that I know, but it's interesting that when you can be anonymous and you're angry about a lot of things, you use really hateful words. And luckily, I have 2 kids and I've been called a lot of bad things by my 2 kids that strangers who don't know me on YouTube calling me a retard doesn't really do much to me. So I want to talk about the 6 things that I've noticed about cryptocurrencies. And I just want you to notice, like, are you wanting to take sides or just how are you experiencing just these 6 things? So the first thing I want to talk about is cryptocurrencies is not a new asset class. It is a currency. It's not a new asset class. There's only 4 asset classes on the planet. You have stocks, you have bonds, also called fixed income / currencies. You have commodities and you have real estate. That's it. Cryptocurrencies are a type of currency. It is a currency not backed by a government, right? So it is a currency. It is not a new asset class, right? We don't have horse and buggies anymore, but the transportation industry did not go away. The horse and buggy way of getting around went away and it was replaced with cars. So cryptocurrencies is a form of currency and it falls into one of the 4 main asset classes on the planet. So that's number 1. The second thing is we as Americans, I'm an American, we're not necessarily hurting the US dollar, though the government is. What's changing or shifting with US dollars is not cryptocurrencies. Cryptocurrencies are not shifting the US dollar out of the prominence that it's in. Really what's shifting the US dollar from being the prominent fiat currency on the planet is a country called China. China is putting all these deals together with importers and exporters and saying, hey, let's buy material from you, but I don't want to buy it in US dollars. I want to buy it in yuan. Oh, and by the way, as soon as you pay yuan, you can transfer that into gold. Very interesting. So yes, cryptocurrencies are new. No, it's not going to be the downfall of the US dollar as the reserve currency of the world. If downfall, that's kind of hypey. If there is going to be a downfall, it's going to come from the Middle Kingdom, China, and not from cryptocurrencies. Or we're going to pull the temple down on ourselves because our government is going to mismanage its own currencies. That's number 2, that the US dollar is not going to be replaced by cryptocurrencies. It'll be another type of fiat currency, most likely. Number 3, I want to separate the actual currency of cryptocurrency from the technology. Okay, so the technology behind cryptocurrencies is called blockchain. So what I've noticed is smart money, VCs, private equity, really smart money, they're pouring billions and tens of billions and hundreds of billions into the technology of blockchain, which in really simple terms, blockchain is just a public ledger, meaning you don't need a bank anymore. You don't need to trust the person on the other side of the deal if you use blockchain because it's a public ledger. So you have the technology called blockchain, which I believe is a trend and is here to stay and will be here in another 100 years. And then you actually have the currency or the coin itself. And that's more in question, right? Because, and the reason I say that is smart money is not moving in to the currency itself. It is not moving into it, but smart money is moving into blockchain, the technology behind it. So I want you to make sure there's a difference between, and you don't kind of confuse the two, that I believe blockchain is for sure here to stay. And I don't know about the coin itself. Maybe, maybe not. I'm not taking sides right now. I'm just kind of noticing and observing what's going on. So number 4, I actually think cryptocurrencies are more like gold than anything else. When someone invests in the cryptocurrency, especially someone who's really passionate about it, right? What they're basically saying is the government screwed up. I don't trust the government. I don't want to trust the government. They have mismanaged our own currency. They have mismanaged their the management of their budget. I don't trust the U.S. dollar anymore, which is kind of a form of the U.S. government. I totally get that. That means that cryptocurrencies are more like gold, right? Because when someone buys gold from like a currency point of view, they're basically saying, I don't want government intervention. I want this thing that's held as value for 5,000 years. Now, the interesting thing comparing gold and cryptocurrencies is gold's never gone to zero, right? It's never gone to zero. It's very likely to not go to zero. Gold as a store of wealth has been around for about 5,000 years. So it's very likely it's going to stay around for another 5,000 years. Just kind of going with the trend. We don't know yet with cryptocurrencies. It's super brand new. The first one, Bitcoin, came out in 2009. So at the beginning of 2009, in January of 2009. So this is a super new thing and we don't really know yet. But it is more like gold because people are saying, look, I don't trust the government. They're inflating the money away by printing it. And there's a finite amount of whatever type of coin you want to buy with the cryptocurrencies. The 5th thing, cryptocurrencies is really small. I mean, it's a really small, think of it as like a market cap. It's 1/4 the size of Apple, right? It's about, I'm being generous here, if you take all the coins and there's about 1,070 different types of coins out there. Now of the 1,000, let's just say over 1,000, 2 represent over half the market cap. And I'm going to be really generous and say the market cap of all the cryptocurrencies is right around $200 billion. Now put this in perspective here, right? The NASDAQ at the peak in March of 2000, that had a value of around $11 trillion, right? So about 55 times bigger or more valuable than cryptocurrencies. Also, to a lot of smart money was being invested in what I would call .com 1.0. And people may make fun of the sock puppet in pets.com, but there was actually a real business behind it. I mean, we weren't ready yet for getting 50-pound bags of dog food being delivered. But in .com 2.0 or Internet 2.0, Chewy.com was bought for $3.4 billion or something like that. So Chewy.com was kind of the next iteration of Pets.com. So it's really small, right? Cryptocurrencies is really small, and it's okay to be small, but just it's a small sector. It's a small sub asset class, and so we don't know yet. And the reason I point out the size of it because the smaller something is, the more price volatility it's going to have, and the larger something is, all things being equal, the less price volatility it's going to have. And right now, cryptocurrencies are really, really small and they're really, really new and young. Again, the first one coming out in January of 2009, which was Bitcoin. And then lastly, the question is it a fad or is it a trend, right? We need to ask ourselves, is this the late 90s, right? .coin versus .com. And if the coin part is here to stay, okay, and again, I separated out the technology from the actual currency. If the currency part is here to stay, what I feel confident in saying is this feels very much like late 90s, right? There's lots of euphoria. It's a polarizing topic. People are becoming instant millionaires or decamillionaires or centimillionaires with no value being added. A lot of these new initial coin offerings, there's no business plan. It's literally a white paper and a couple developers. And even if they, have an initial coin offering of $10 million, those guys get rich instantly. So it's more flimsy, right? With 1,064 and counting ICOs that have happened. But for sure, if it is a trend, if the currency part is a trend, we're talking like 1997, something like that, meaning there will be a correction with the currency part. The blockchain, the technology, I believe is here to stay. and it'll continue trending, and it's going to absolutely transform the world and how people do business with each other, because they're not going to need banks anymore, right? You go to Wells Fargo or B of A or Citibank because you're like, I trust them. The person I don't know trusts them, so let's both put our money there because we trust it. You will no longer need to trust the other person you're dealing with because there'll be this blockchain technology. Hey guys, thanks so much for being in my world. And if you value this, please like, share, and subscribe, as it makes a difference. So again, this is just another step in helping you protect your portfolio and your future. Thanks guys. I'll speak to you next week.